Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today we have not four, but five new decks for you that are proven, including a top 10 deck, a secret top of ladder deck that's absolutely dominating, and so much more. The new number one list, an absolute ton of decks for you today. We're going to kick it off, though, by talking about anti-venom, the card that comes out later today. It has been updated to a 4/7. The ability, however, is the same. It's an on reveal. Set the cost and power of your deck's top card to 0. This is a 6,000 token Series 5 card that will be in Spotlight caches Tuesday afternoon. So what do I think of Agent Venom? Well, it feels a lot like Iron Lad, and that might not be a good thing. We already have Iron Lad, which means we might not need this. However, this is an easy card to get extra benefit from by running cards like Luke Cage or Shadow King. You will be able to reset your card's power, although if your opponent's running Agent Coulson, they can mess up your cost reduction as well. So there are some positives and benefits to this that don't exist for Iron Lad. This is a potentially very powerful card that has upsides and downsides. However, I think once Frigga comes out, Frigga is the card next week. It's a 3/3 on reveal that says copy the last card you played. I think Anti-Venom gets absolutely great. Because I can anti-venom on turn 4, play the card I get with Frigga on turn 5, and have a second 0/0 version. Which means if I can get out, for example, a Luke Cage or a Shadow King, I get all the benefit of multiple 0-cost cards with none of the real downside. So I think that's where we're going to end up being, but I don't think that's necessarily where we are now for this week as the card comes out. Where I think we are now, especially in an extreme bounce meta, is a deck that we're going to look at momentarily, which is going to be a Sarah list. So before we go forward, the other spotlight cards are Supergiant and Ghost Spider this week. We're going to talk about each of these two as we go through the video. The Spotlight 8 Anti-Venom is also not a variant I like very much, but just a quick look at these variants, and let's get to that Sarah list. So this is a variation on a Sarah list that Rutma sent me. Rutma is a regular top of ladder player, a genuinely stellar Marvel Snap player, and hasn't sent me a deck in a little while, hasn't felt super confident in a new list for a little bit, and this is Rutma's new list with two card changes. I added Luke Cage and I added Anti-Venom. My theory here is the only card I don't want to hit with Anti-Venom almost all the time is Mysterio. Uh, a lot of these decks are running Agent Venom. Rutness is not, on the theory that Agent Venom only really benefits Mysterio, and anything else, it's either a net, like, it's either barely better or slightly worse, right? So that huge benefit to Mysterio is awesome. But what if I could just make an extra 0-cost card, an extra 0-cost Gwenpool, an extra 0-cost Ghost, 0-cost Luke Cage, Killmonger, etc., that I could then play at the end of the game with my Hitmonkey Mysterio combinations, and now all of a sudden this deck looks insanely powerful, right? That extra ability seems like it might push this through the roof. Hell, if I get that lucky and get that 0/0 Sarah, and I can play a Sarah and a Gwenpool on turn 5, chef's frickin' kiss. I'm very excited for all the things that Anti-Venom can offer this list, where again, Mysterio is a bad target here if I don't have Luke Cage. If I have Luke Cage, it's totally fine. But Mysterio is a bad target if I don't have Luke Cage. But if I do have Luke Cage, we are looking really good here. So Rutmus created this. This deck needs Hitmonkey and Gwenpool. If you have Hitmonkey and Gwenpool, this is playable. Jeff and Rogue were in for Luke and obviously Anti-Venom because he's not out. US Agent and Anti-Venom could be Jeff and Rogue. And if you need one more replacement, try Iron Man or Shang-Chi. Cool. That is the replacements for this one. So this is awesome. This is 100% the deck I am playing the instant this new card comes out. So turn 1 pass, turn 2 US Agent or pass, turn 3 is Bishop over Ghost over Luke, and you can drop Luke first a reasonable amount of the time, depending on what you think you're doing. If you know you're anti-venoming next, you want to go with Luke, right? If you know that you're going to be able to throw a priority no matter what, then Luke is better, for example. Turn 4 is generally speaking Gwenpool over Anti-Venom. If you have Sarah already in hand, you definitely want to get Gwenpool out first, especially if you have Mysterio in hand. If you don't have Sarah, you're probably going to want to play Anti-Venom even over Gwenpool, unless you have Mysterio in hand, on the chance that Anti-Venom can just hit Sarah and make your whole world different. Turn 5 is Sarah, and if not, you can play the other of Gwenpool or Anti-Venom, and then you want Mysterio, Monkey, and Tech to end the game. And that's it. You win, right? Like, you put up so much power so quickly with this list. It is awesome, and I cannot urge you to freaking try it enough. So, We're going to take one last look at this, and after this, Sizer's back to number one in a list that uses another one of our spotlight cards. But the number one is so close, and we're going to talk about that once we take one last look. Again, I think this is going to be an immediate meta list. I think anti-venom is an immediate upgrade to this list, and kind of right now, outside of maybe some tribunal nonsense, only this list. So be forewarned, this might not be an every deck thing, but in this deck, I think it's going to be absolutely incredible, and I will, as always, report back to you on Thursday with top player thoughts on what they think of the new card. Before we go to that number one deck, please hit that sub button if you're willing. We're trying to hit 15,000 subs by the end of the year. In order to do so, we're bringing you 7 days a week or more of Marvel Snap videos. We do more Marvel Snap videos of high quality and high content than anyone. We give you the best decks in the meta before anyone else is talking about them. If you want to climb in Marvel Snap, please subscribe here. We have the best decks for that. We get exclusive top meta decks, proven decks that can win for you. In addition, hit that like and comment button as well to help us with that YouTube algorithm. That like and comment button as well will help you win a free season pass of Surtur. As long as you're subscribed, later this video, I'm going to ask a question. You answer in the comments, you literally just answer that question in the comments to this video, and your answer enters you to win Surtur. We'll announce it at the end of the week or around Monday. Every video this week is going to carry a free Surtur in it. Cool? If you want that card, this is how you get it. Next up, we have Sizer's The Battle for number one. This is the deck that was Pass Until Hercules, but Hercules is out of the deck for Copycat. This is 100% a swing spot. There's a million things that can go in that spot. There is still a lot of decision to be made. My guess is that this is going to remain a variable spot until Frigga comes out, and then when you can go Aranya into Iron Fist into Human Torch and get like a 12 power Human Torch that you can then just drop a Frigga and copy it, or you can drop Madam Web and then drop Frigga and copy that, etc., etc., etc. Or you can play a Vulture into Madam Web, move it and play Frigga, and then you have a 9 power starting Vulture, so on and so forth. I think that's going to be the card that ultimately takes that spot, but that's not where we are for now. That card's not out, so this is Copycat. Ghost Spider is an absolute must for this list. Ghost Spider is the new season pass card. It is, in my personal opinion, at least until Frigga comes out, the single best one-drop move enabler. I think it's better than Aranya. I think it's better than Iron Fist. I think it's probably worse than Madam Web, but Madam Web is insanely good. So I think that it is the best one-drop enabler, and it's a card, even though it's a Series 4, that if you want to play move, you must have. Cool? That is my basic take on Ghost Spider, but this list, and what's really interesting to me about it, is this is in an absolute dogfight for number one. It's been ages since we've had a battle for number one that's this close going to the last week of the season. 2 days ago, Derek was number one. Today, as I was watching Sizer stream, he's literally streaming in the middle of the night right now, Sizer reclaimed the throne with this list with a 63% win rate on ladder at top infinite, which is absolutely huge. This is one of the best lists in Marvel Snap. It remains one of the best lists in Marvel Snap. It will be a top list that will take you a lot of gameplay to master. You can find Sizer being probably the best player who streams in Marvel Snap at twitch.tv/Sizer2654. So if you want to learn some really great Marvel Snap, please check it out. Which seems like a really good time to make a stream announcement. Sizer and I will be co-streaming. I will be streaming right here on this very YouTube on Wednesday. I'm going to be streaming some Marvel Snap with Sizer. We're getting some gameplay submissions, and we're going to like do some gameplay breakdowns, and then we're going to do a conquest run. And then I'm going to stream some Pokemon Pocket because Pokemon Pocket is the new game that comes out this Wednesday. I've got some errands to run, so I won't be at work. So I figured, hey, that's a really great time to get a big old stream in. So make sure that you keep that on your calendar. And if you miss the stream, guess what? It'll all be available as a video thereafter. So for this list, you need Ghost Spider, Aranya, Madam Web, and Goliath. I know that's reasonably expensive, but Ghost Spider's out now, and if you got Web and Aranya last week, you should be set. Copycat can be Hercules or Doctor Strange. The highest win rate version of this still has Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is the easiest of these cards to play. Copycat gives you high rolls, it gives you snap ability, it gives you extra equity in the game. But, whatever works. Again, please check out the stream tomorrow. Alright, so let's chat some Ghost Spider. Turn 1, you want Aranya. Turn 2, Madam Web, or you can get a torch going. You can do like a Aranya with a torch and either Ghost Spider or Iron Fist. Turn 3, Cosmo is generally better than Vulture. Turn 4, you want to move Vulture or Dagger. Turn 5 is one last move, and then you want to play Cloak to the right. And the big trick to playing Cloak is to play everything center and left for most of the game so that you can Cloak right on turn 5. That Cloak right on turn 5 allows so much variability that you have a ton of big cube wins, as your opponent will have a lot of trouble playing around Heimdall, Goliath, and Cosmo to end the game. It's really, really hard to play around all three of those. Cool. We're going to take a look at this, and after this, we're going to look at the only good Supergiant deck in the game. So this is, again, in my opinion, if you are good at if you are good enough at move, this is one of the 2 to 3 best decks in Marvel Snap. Period. Sizer is currently number 1 with it. Play it to rank up, but learn it first. Take this into Conquest first. Practice with it. You can beat all the Shadow Kings in the meta. You have Cosmo Alliance, and they don't know where the hell you're playing anything. You can beat anything with this list, but you need practice. And we need to practice is when to build power and when to try and protect your power. How long can you delay before you show how much power you have fundamentally? Or can you keep power in one position, protected until turn 5 when you can cloak, and then you can just sort of go off in ways that the opponent can't stop. That's how you win with this. Do give it some run. If you'd like to see gameplay for these decks, please check out the stream team, where it is Tuesday, so Prashaun will be streaming at 12 p.m. Eastern. Gregor2424 has a video up around now with yesterday's decks. Next up, we're at Revas, not Regis, I just don't know how to type. This is a Supergiant list that is tournament proven. A bunch of people have been playing this on ladder. This is the highest win rate Supergiant list on basically any of the stat sites. However, its stats aren't that great. This is very hard to play, much like the previous move list. I promise you, the next 2 lists we're going to talk about are significantly more straightforward. But this Supergiant list is very hard to play and very well positioned if you are good with it. If you're not going to be good with it, it's going to cost you cubes straight up. You also are going to have a really hard time without Hydra Bob. I have a replacement for Hydra Bob here, but it's really, 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 really hard to win without Hydra Bob. So you can find youtube.com/@RevasSnap. Revas playing this list. Revas is one of the best players in the world. Go check him out. You need Ajax, Supergiant, and Man-Thing for this list without any question. I think I'm learning more and more that you need Hydra Bob basically for the to take initiative so that you can end up so that you can end up Cosmoing or Negasonicing more effectively because you need that. You need that prio. Hydra Bob over America, over Nightcrawler, because those are the other 2 best 1-drops for getting prio. U.S. Agent can be Red Guardian, Cable, or Mirage. I'm partial to Red Guardian, obviously, but that's a high series card, so if you don't have it, Mirage should be good, because Mirage will once more help you get prio, which is hugely, hugely important. We covered this recently, and since we already covered this deck fairly recently, and we've covered that Sizer deck, I want to say on Friday's video, a fairly similar version of that Sizer's list, we're going to do 2 more high-ranked decks after this that you've never seen a full guide for before. So, Supergiant is a card that should be powerful, but has never quite actually made it there. It would not shock me to see Supergiant get a little buff later, unless it's a card that, because it's so disruptive and they don't really like lockdown, they want to be bad. Supergiant with 6 or 7 stats is a great card. Supergiant with 5 stats is a card that you will often have trouble winning with. That's fundamentally how it is here. It is a very fun card. It enables different strategies. It's powerful, but it's not meta. Cool? So turn 1, you need Hydra Bob. Turn 2, Daredevil over Lizard. You are not playing Echo on turn 1. You're saving Echo for, basically, if you can tell they're going to play an ongoing, and you can tell where, using either Supergiant or Daredevil, and you have priority, Echo just smacks that. Daredevil over Lizard for turn 2. Lizard is, again, your priority card, where Daredevil gives you amazing information. Turn 3 is Luke over 2. Turn 4 is Supergiant over Man-Thing. Turn 5, if you can snipe with Cosmo, Negasonic, and Echo, or 2 of them, thanks to Daredevil, you do that. You can play Hazmat or US Agent with those. If you don't have Daredevil, but you do have priority, please drop Ajax behind that Supergiant. And now you know where they played, right? And if you can figure out what they played, and you should be able to figure out what they played, because you're a good Marvel Snap player, right? And you have priority. So at that point, you're dropping your Cosmo, Negasonic, Echo in those lanes in order to really, really ruin their stuff. And that's how you win with this list. It's, again, very strong, very consistent, but it is not easy to play, and it requires you to be really, really disciplined. So if you want to win some games of Marvel Snap and learn hard decks and get good at Marvel Snap, try these lists. Hopefully, someone can submit some gameplay for this so I can try and explain it to some players. I don't think it's a especially productive way for me to play and try and talk through it because then I have to focus on playing. But being able to watch some games, pause them, explain them, I think is going to be really, really beneficial to this community. And I hope you do check it out if you have time. If you don't have time, no harm, no foul. I mean, literally hundreds, if not thousands, of players have peaked their ranks, have hit infinite, have increased their viability in Marvel Snap because of this channel. The way we do things is perfectly fine. I'm just always trying to find ways to add more. Hey, season pass question. You want that Surtur? Answer this. What do you wish you could ask Glenn Jones about basically about anything, like it could be life questions. I don't care about card design, but not about the game's economy, not about why one card a week comes out or like why cosmetics cost so much or anything like that. He's not in charge of that, and I'm not going to get a good answer. But Glenn Jones may or may not be doing some content with us soon, and I'd like to see if there are any cool questions to ask him that any of you may have. That is your season pass winning question. Big Baby's Misery Loves Company. This list is awesome. I played this list a bunch today. Uh, I tanked my rank. I was around rank 700. I generally chill around the top 1,000. I don't play a ton. I don't have time. I have a full-time job, a child, a union job, and make all these videos. And now I'm trying to stream too. But I generally chill around top 1,000, which I think is perfectly fine considering my amount of play. Sizer's season pass is more than double mine. I just hit 50. Uh, my last play session on my season pass and got my Agent Venom. So when the channel was demonetized 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, a week and a half ago, I went spiraling and was very upset at Marvel Snap and was just doing dailies, and I fell all the way down to about 3,500. I'm now back into the in the thousands, playing lists like this. This is one of my big climbers recently. I'm still basically just doing dailies due to lack of time, but I'm winning all my games, so that's pretty good. This is a very very strong list. This is the coolest Mirage list in the game right now. I urge you to give this a try. Hopefully you bought Misery because I told everyone, please, please, please buy Misery. If you did buy Misery, you will have a blast with this. You do not, however, necessarily need Scarlet Spider or Sage or even Red Guardian for it. Big Baby is Dr. Stink Farton, is the number 4 ranked player on the Infinite Leaderboard. This is his most current list. He's a chef. He's a baby food chef, but he's a chef. This is an absolutely brilliant list. So Mockingbird, Misery, and Cersei are required. And I wanted to say you didn't need Nico, but any deck that runs Hood needs 2 ways to get rid of Hood. So you have Cersei, or I guess you have Cersei and Misery, but those are really, really expensive ways to get rid of Hood, right? So instead of those, you can end up with you also really, really need Nico as a way to either do that or to turn one of your Mysterios into a demon or +2 cards. Sage can be Wolfsbane here, Scarlet Spider can be Phoenix Force or Cassandra Nova, and Red Guardian can be Rogue. Cool. I know the Scarlet Spider replacements are higher series cards, but Phoenix Force is Series 4 and a former Season Pass card, and Cassandra Nova was a card you could have got for free this summer if you played and completed the first Deadpool's Diner. We'll have a new Deadpool's Diner again coming relatively soon, and we'll talk more about that as we go forward. I promise you I'll have a bunch of Diner decks. Red Guardian can be Rogue. Red Guardian is significantly better right now as Bishop is more prevalent. Werewolf is more prevalent than just Iron Man like it was before. Red Guardian can answer both those Bishops and those Iron Mans, whereas Rogue can only answer the Iron Mans. So Red Guardian's better, but Red Guardian's in Spotlights in 2 weeks, so at least there's that. All right, so this is current rank 4. Turn 1, you Hood. Turn 2, you Mysterio over Mirage. Turn 3, you want to play Black Widow over Red Guardian, unless obviously there's a super key target. If you can hit a priority thena, then do that. Turn 4, Scarlet Spider or Misery, depends what's there. If you've got that Hood out, if you've got that Mirage out, then all of a sudden Misery is starting to look better. If you know that you're going to try and get a cheap Mockingbird on the last turn of the game, then you might want a Scarlet Spider, or if you know you want to Cersei that into a 5, Misery is a 4/8, so you're not always looking to Cersei Misery, but you would like to Misery that Scarlet Spider, right? Like you can trigger it, then you keep the 5 power body that makes Mockingbird cheaper, but you also get a 5 drop out of it. Cersei on Scarlet is amazing. So yes, and then if not, you can 3+2, and at that point, like a Red Guardian and a Mysterio is perfect one. Red Guardian and that card you got from Mirage. Sometimes it's a Red Guardian and 2 demons, something like that, and then you will end with Mockingbird and Sage, and you sprinkle in demons where you can, and that's a ton of freaking power. You end up winning with this a lot. One last look at this, and then we're going to do this top win rate deck that no one's really treating like a top win rate deck. Everyone's sort of treating like an afterthought, but the win rates with this are through the roof. 3 of the top 12 win rate decks in the top 10% Infinite are this next deck. But before we look at it, if you're interested in the new Pokemon game coming out Wednesday, please check out our Pokemon Pocket channel. It's called the Pocket Meta. Check it out. We're really proud of it, and we think you'll really like it. All you have to do is type in Pulse Your Pokemon or check the description to this video to find the Pocket Meta. All right, so this is the Scream move list. This is Woody's version. I'm not sure if Woody is the only person to create this because I've seen versions of this floating around forever, but this list is wildly strong. It is my personal opinion that this is the best deck no one is talking about. There are 3 decks within 2 or 3 cards of this that are within the top 12 of the Infinite leaderboard in the top 10% of the Marvel Snap meta win rates. This is really, really good. This is the Scream deck that we were looking for. It wasn't good when Junk was everywhere, but the lack of Junk, even with Bounce everywhere, has kept this really strong. Uh, Basically, against Bounce, what you're really trying to do is sort of when they're going to figure out where they're going to use their Beast and their card that's not Beast. Toxin. I always forget the stupid name of Toxin. Don't forget to check our last chance review of Toxin. And then you want to use your move cards, particularly Juggernaut or Polaris or Spider-Man, to really ruin that stuff, make them forced to keep all this negative stuff on the board, and then you should be able to win. And then when they try and fill everything, if you can throw Prior, which isn't easy but is possible, you can cannonball that. You can use Arrow to really ruin their planning. If everything is negative from Scream and Kingpin, they have a really hard time. There's a ton of ways to do this, and this list is insanely strong. You can find the creator of this list, or the creator of this version of the list, twitch.tv/YoWDMJ. He's the current rank either 5 or 6. He's fighting with Barzy for that spot on the Infinite Leaderboard. He's almost always in the top 10 or at the top 5. He's one of the best players in the world. This deck needs Scream and Cannonball, just 2 Series 5 cards. That's it. Silk can be Jeff, Nocturne, or Nightcrawler. In that order is how I would do that. Although maybe I would have Nightcrawler over Nocturne. It's close. Turn 1, you Kingpin. Turn 2, you Scream over Craven over Silk. And remember to, if you're going to Kingpin and Craven, you want to do it in either the mid or the right, because you have Stegron on the list, and Stegron smacks things that way. Turn 3 is the appropriate 3 move. Usually that's Polaris or Spider-Man, but once in a while it will instead be Juggernaut, particularly against Bounce. Turn 4 is a 3+1, assuming that you have a 1-cost Miles. Now that can be that Spider-Man, Polaris, Juggernaut, or you can drop Stegron. Turn 5, Stegron +1 when it's Miles, or Arrow, or Cannonball. Sometimes that'll be Kingpin too, right? Stegron is 7, Kingpin is 2, that's 9, but Kingpin's going to be represent 2 more, so that's a 11 power play, which is still pretty damn good. Meanwhile, Stegron and Miles is 13 power worth of gameplay, so it's the same concept. Or Arrow, or you can just drop Cannonball. I generally want to save Cannonball for the end, but once in a while you will play Cannonball on 5. Turn 6 is either Cannonball or Magneto, and then you usually win, and that's how you play this list. It can also end up being like a Juggernaut and then another powerful card. That's perfectly fine as well. Scream is huge. Turns out having access to like an 11 power 2 does make most decks good. This ends up more like a 15 power 2 if you get her out early enough, but that's fine. Kingpin ends up being like a 1-4 to 1-6. Craven ends up being like a 2-6. And then you just have enough early scaling threats and enough control that you end up being able to disrupt opponents and win the game. Do try this list if you have access to these cards. You will not regret it. Questions of the day. So, Orotiagitio asks about conquest-specific decks. And this is important because I don't think decks that are conquest specific really exist. I think really good Marvel Snap decks are really good Marvel Snap decks, and you can take them into ladder or conquest. But Orotiagitio, sorry, I'm so sorry about saying your name awkwardly, has this brilliant idea. You don't change decks for conquest. You should change certain cards. And Orotiagitio would like to note a few of these, and I'm going to note a couple more. So Conquest has a ton of arishem. So Cassandra Nova goes into bounce decks over Bishop at that point. If you know your opponent is playing an absolute ton of arishem, then having Cassandra Nova is just a great way to win. Bishop can be easily 8 or 9 points of power. Cassandra Nova is probably topping out most games at about 6. So you're losing 2 or 3 power into the meta, but if like 1 in 3 games are arishem, then you more than make up for that, but that free extra power. Same thing for decks that can fit Nocturne. If you know that your deck cannot afford to beat a turn 7 deck, you're not running the tech for that, then all of a sudden a card like Nocturne or Scarlet Witch goes up as a way to get rid of Limbo. If you know you just lose those Limbo games, you know people are going to play those greedy decks. That works for you. 2 other decks that I think are really, really popular in on the Infinite Leaderboard, in Infinity Conquest are the sort of Gregor 2424 Toxic Surfer. I see a ton of Toxic Surfer up on the Infinity Conquest, and I see a ton of Destroy. So you can run Armor or Luke Cage, right, and be perfectly fine into those matchups, or Shadow King is really helpful. Shadow King is amazing into the meta. But there's one card that stops all that bullshit, and that card is Cosmo. So if you can figure out how to play a few less on reveals and fit Cosmo into your list, particularly Cosmo with like a Madam Web, Cosmo with like a Daredevil, you should be absolutely cleaning up. Cool. Brilliant take. I plan to make a list relatively soon on one of these videos about cards that I think are significantly better and worth considering in Infinity Conquest. I'm going to let like 2 days of Infinity Conquest run, so this should be around either Thursday or Friday's video. And then I'm going to what I'm basically planning on doing is I'm going to look at what decks are very popular in Infinity Conquest, and then we'll think about what cards really counter those. Koire says, chili, beans or no beans? Yes, either way, fine. Chili's amazing. I have no preference as long as you give me some good, tasty chili, but it better be spicy. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. I'm going to say thank you to a whole bunch of people. We're going to start with the great OG Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, our wonderful friend, Irregardless, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, LAB, FaThorNewman. Please check him out on Twitch. And do me a favor, if you have not subscribed to FaThorNewman's YouTube, please go do so and give his videos a watch. They're really good. Good Dog Gamer, Inc. I am Frostman, J. Naurit. Uh, that's definitely not how I'm supposed to say that. Thinking Poker, Thinking Poker. Primed Ryan of the Prime Mind vein. Ryan Burke, Berkey, and Ryan Wood, Woody. It's Ryan Town. Kirtix Lee, Koire, The Black Dahlia, Pyrofros, The Goat Seeker, Archangel 3K, Hollowed, Grid Pro Joe, Docty, the king of new Marvel Snap Card content. Check out his videos. There's a new season coming, and I'm going to do some videos on that, but nobody does it better than Docty. Fat Nick, Mr. Kerfuffle, Ginger Prime. Hey, Ginge. Ratco, who is in the top 8 of the Snap Judgments League this season. Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone. Rob Silverman, the Notorious Bizza. The Black Jeebus, 23. X-Force V, and Skippy G. Skippy G, you're old now. Jessica Gamble. Hey, Jess, hope you're doing well. The winner of Snap Judgments League Season 1, Tommy frickin' Nyquist. The King of Bros, bruh, the Great Kazoo. Kev Sihora, and I still haven't fixed Q-Town because Q-Town is infiltrated by Lunacris. It's Corwin, John Q, and Jimmy McHugh. Glam, 8th Sage, Mod Supreme Models, Green Goblin, how you doing, Gabo? Steven, Andrew Flannery, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, and Jason B. It is Real Name Town. Jason B, by the way, is in charge of our card archive. The Fuzzy Dunlop Spectrum Mix. Woot! Matt H. DJ, Mikey, Hi, Jinx, No Freaking Flex, Oculars, Mr. Craig Sterry, Meiji, Zodrix. Check him out on Twitch. Zodrix is awesome. The King of Canada, likewise on both Twitch and YouTube, including having YouTube videos of our decks. Denman Falcon has the best split content on YouTube, while Jonesy covers 3 decks all the time with actual gameplay. Go check him out. Two Ties, former history teacher, wonderful friend. The great Lauren Woodebs will be on the podcast this week with our very famous guest, the Pirate King Tuccrr. Fastest growing Twitcher and YouTuber around, the Pirate King Tuccrr. And of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for. Snap Judgments, y'all. Thanks for watching. Check out the Pokemon video. Check out my stuff. And I'll see you tomorrow for another Snap Take. Miss ya. Peace.